Hi everyone, Jack from Maths Forge here. So in today's lesson, we're going to be ordering fractions. Let's get started with the one-star example. Here we're being asked to write in ascending order. So ascending means smallest first, largest last. The following fractions: 5 over 7, 6 over 7, 1 over 7. Now, because all of the denominators are the same, this is pretty straightforward. You just order them according to their numerators, so the top number. So in this case, since it's in ascending order, I'm going to start with the smallest, which is 1 over 7. I'm then going to place the fraction that is second smallest, which is 5 over 7. And finally, 6 over 7. So we have written these fractions here in ascending order. We'll just check our answer. There it is. Now we'll do a two-star example. Here we're being asked to write the fractions in ascending order. However, the denominators are no longer the same. You can see this. So the way we approach this is by converting our fractions to decimals. So the first things first, I'm just going to simplify this fraction. I can divide the top and the bottom by 6. So to make it in equivalent fractions, we covered this in the previous lesson. And this is going to give us 1 over 2, or a half. And the half as a decimal is 0.5. Next, we're going to simplify the 3 over 15. So we're going to divide the top number by 3, the numerator by 3, and the denominator by 3. So 3 divided by 3 is 1. 15 divided by 3 is 5. And you should know that 1/5 as a decimal is 0.2. And if you don't know that 1/5 is 0.2 as a decimal, you could go ahead and use a division method on the side here to find that out. So I'm going to divide 5 into 1. So 5 into 1. 5 goes into 1 0 times. Then we place a decimal. And since we haven't actually broken up this one, it's going to be carried over as a remainder. 5 into 10 goes twice exactly with no remainders left over, and that's our answer, 0.2. Now we'll do the third fraction. So 3 over 9. Well, if I divide the top number by 3 and the bottom number by 3, it simplifies to give us 1 over 3, which you should know as a decimal is 0.3 recurring. So that's 0.333 and so on. So now we can actually see from the decimals which of these fractions is smallest and which is largest. And don't forget, we're going in ascending order, which means smallest first. In this case, it's the 0.2. which leads us to 3 over 15. And then the second smallest fraction after 0.2 is 0.3 recurring, which leads us to 3 over 9. And lastly, we have 6 over 12. So 0.5 is the largest of the three, and that's going to lead us to the fraction of 6 over 12. And if we just check our answer, that's how it's done. So you can see it's very handy to know your essential fractions and how to convert them to decimals. If you don't know how to convert them to decimals, you need a division method at hand in order to be able to take the fraction and turn it into a decimal. We'll now do the 3-star questions. And as you can see, it's going to be hard to memorize 12 over 13 as a decimal. So we're going to have to use a division method to find out what these fractions are equal to. So let's begin. 12 over 13. We're being asked to write these fractions in ascending order. So smallest first, largest last. So 12 over 13. Well, I want to divide 13 into 12. 13 into 12 goes 0 times, and then we have a decimal. Since we didn't break up the 12, it's going to carry on as a remainder. So 13 now goes into 120 8 times. So 8 times 13 is 117. And now 117 is not 120. It's actually 3 away from it. You need to add 3 onto 117 to get to 120. So that carries on as a remainder. Remainder 3. And then 0 as a placeholder. And then 13 into 30. We know it goes twice. 13, 26. And then we'll skip 30 if we do another 13. So it's 26, and there's a remainder of 4 to get to 30 now. So then that becomes our remainder here. And now 13 goes into 40. I know it goes into it 3 times, because 13 times 3 is 39. But then there's a remainder of 1, because 39 plus 1 gets us to 40. And you know what? I'm just going to stop right here and see if this is enough to determine whether 12 over 13 is the largest fraction or not. So this is going to be 0.823. And then we have some other numbers after it, which we haven't really calculated yet. So let's do 5 over 9 now. I'm going to divide 9 into 5. So 9 into 5 does not go. It's 0. Then we have the decimals. And then a 0 as a placeholder. So since 9 hasn't broken up the 5 gets carried on here. And now we have to think to ourselves, how many times does 9 go into 50? Well, if you know your times tables, 9 multiplied by 5 gives us 45. So I know 9 goes into 50 5 times, and then we have a remainder of 5. Because 9 times 5 is 45, but we need to get to 50. So 45 plus 5 gives us a remainder of 5. And a placeholder of 0. And you can see what's going to happen now. It's going to recur. So 9 goes into another 50. It's going to be 5 with another 5 here as a remainder, and so on and so forth. So 5 over 9 written as a decimal is 0.5 recurring. And now let's do 1 over 7. So 7 divides into 1 0 times, decimal place. The 1 gets carried over. 7 goes into 10 1 time, remain the 3, and then a placeholder of 0. And you can use any division method you wish. You don't have to do the short method. You can do long division if you would like. And then 7 goes into 30. Well, I know 7 times 4 is 28. So it gets up to 28, and then we have a remainder of 2 to get to 30. And you know what? At this stage, I don't need to work out any more numbers. I can see that the first two decimal places are 1 and 4. So I'm just going to go ahead and write that here, 0.14. And now we have enough information to determine which fraction is the largest and which fraction is the smallest. Since we're writing it in ascending order, we're going to write the smallest first. So in this case, out of these three decimals, 0.14 is the smallest, which is 1 over 7. The next smallest fraction is going to be linked to 0.5, which is 5 over 9. And the largest fraction is going to be linked to 0.823, which is 12 over 13. And if we just check our answer, yes, you can see it's correct. And so that's pretty much it on how to order fractions. You need to have a division method handy in order to deal with the more complicated ones. But remember, ascending, be very careful when you read the question. If it says ascending, it's smallest first, largest last. And if it's descending, it's largest first, smallest last.